All right, joining me now on the Women's Basketball Podcast is Karen Blair, new head coach of the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Just to kind of start off, what has the offseason been like? You know, I know you kind of had to completely revamp and rebuild this roster. What was that like, kind of, you know, building the plane as you're flying it?
Yeah, it was, you know, when you first got in, like my first week was sitting down and just kind of meeting with the players that were there. And, you know, then you just kind of had to hit the ground running with the transfer portal. At that point, it had already been open for a while. So it was getting on the phones, making a lot of phone calls. And then in the meantime, trying to at least hire a couple assistants on the side. So just kind of starting to put all the pieces of the puzzle together.
Yeah. You spent a long time as an assistant coach, I think 25 years before getting this opportunity at Georgia Tech. There are a lot of coaches that spend their whole career as assistants. How long have you wanted to be a head coach and run your own program?
Yeah, I think it's always been in the back of my mind, but it was just going to be the right place at the right time, you know, and that was, for me, it was very much about fit. And that's why when I knew the call came from Georgia Tech, that was something that I wanted to pursue. It was something that fit me. It was the high academics, obviously being in Atlanta, a hotbed for recruiting, just really good high school basketball, good AAU basketball. So those were no-brainers for me. You know, like I knew that I wanted this job, and I think it's a place that you could be really successful. And I think Nell did a really good job of, you know, they went to March Madness last year, and as a first-time head coach, you don't get to always take over a program that's in such good shape. So really thankful for the opportunity.
Yeah. What else was it, I guess, about Georgia Tech that made you say, this is the place where I want to do this?
Yeah, for me, it was what a Georgia Tech degree means. You know, at the end of the day, you know, we're college coaches, but the academic piece is really important to me. And what stood out to me from Georgia Tech was that it was super competitive academically. Mm-hmm. You know, you're going to get a degree that's going to set you up for the next 50 years of your life, and then you're also going to be able to play really competitive basketball in a premier league in the ACC. You can have that university experience, but also outside is Atlanta. You know, this cultural experience, being able to do whatever you want to do. So I really thought you got the best of both worlds right here.
Yeah. Not long after you were hired, you got a new boss with the change in athletic director there over the summer. What was that like?
You know, it's like anything. It was, ironically enough, even when I was at Maryland at the end of the tenure there, they were going through an athletic director change. So I was like, I guess apparently change was just supposed to be in the future for me this spring and this summer. But, you know, like the thing is with change is it gives you an opportunity to grow. And I have loved, you know, meeting with Ryan and what his vision is for our program. And I think he's very much aligned with President Cabrera. Mm-hmm. And it's just a really, really good time to be at Georgia Tech. I mean, you see the success we're having in football and a lot of other sports, but we're growing. We're growing as a university and as an athletic department. And so it's a special place to be.
Yeah, on kind of that same token there, we're kind of in this new era, right? It feels like we're saying that every year, but, you know, NIL portal, now the house settlement, rev share, all that good stuff. When it comes to that, do you feel like the support is there for your program?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like our women's basketball program is supported, and, you know, that's what I said. Those meetings with Ryan have been, you know, great. Like, he's been really supportive of women's basketball. Obviously, coming from Tennessee, he understands the importance of women's basketball, and what a great time, right? Like, this is a great time for our sport and our platform, and so I'm grateful to be able to be supported.
Yeah. Back to your roster and your team real quick. 10 new players, 8 transfers, 2 freshmen. What were some qualities or skills that you kind of zeroed in when you were trying to kind of build this team on the fly? Yeah,
one of the things I was really looking for was I wanted a lot of speed and athleticism. I think that, you know, in this conference, it's a very guard-dominated league. And I do know that teams have been successful with that speed and athleticism. So that's really what we kind of went after. And I think we did a good job in the portal of being able to secure that. And really wanted dynamic forwards. You know, we're really already Termis at stayed. You know, she gives us a shooting big, which gives us some of that stretchability, which is also really important. And then we have a couple forwards in Jada and Brianna Turner that can rebound and take it, you know, and be able to lead our break. So it gives us the ability to play fast.
The ACC tournament this year is in your backyard. You know, just a few miles up the road there in Gwinnett County. Well, what's that like? You know.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, this is the thing about Atlanta is Atlanta loves sports. I mean, they love women's basketball. You could just see the buzz that was around the city with even following the Atlanta Dream and obviously Georgia Tech last year, right? Going 15-0, there was a great buzz around our program. The Atlanta Dream just had, I think we all wanted it. Selfishly, we wanted them to be able to make it to the finals,
Sure.
But Atlanta loves winners, and they love their sports. So that's why I love that the conference tournament's going to be there. I think there'll be a great following, and I know our fans will turn out.
Yeah. How closely were you following the Dream? Tuning into a lot of games and stuff?
Yeah, I was able to make it down for a few.
Yeah.
There's more I would have liked, but obviously with everything being so busy, but I was able to make it down for about 3 games and watch it a little bit more on TV. No, it was just fun, right? I think all of us, Carl obviously being a first-time head coach, so there's a lot of parallels that are going. I had the opportunity to coach with Bree Jones that year. She was, sitting out recovering from her Achilles, and obviously knew Shatori. So it was fun. It was fun to watch them, how they put it together and kind of how their program evolved throughout the year.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you sort of a bigger picture question. You went to a lot of Sweet 16s and Elite Eights and stuff with Maryland. The past couple of years, we've had this double regional format set up in women's college basketball where 8 teams are at one site and 8 teams are at another instead of 4 quads like it used to be. That's here to stay through 2031, it seems. As a coach, I guess as an assistant working with Maryland, did you like the double regional thing, or would you rather go back to the 4?
I mean, I think the purpose of the double regional was trying to get more fans in one place, and be able to get that support. I know from a coaching standpoint, we kind of liked it because it's fun because you get to see all your coaching buddies and other players that are in the lobbies. So there's a different camaraderie when there's more teams that are there, and it's easier, obviously, to watch the other games. And I do think, there was a good support with the fan base, and so I do think they got what they wanted out of that format.
How did your time at Maryland prepare you to be a head coach?
Yeah, I think the time I spent with Brenda, I mean, she's a future Hall of Fame coach, and you don't sustain 20 years of success, and she's done it so many different ways and built rosters, so many times. So to be able to have that front row seat to see how she's done it has really kind of helped shape me just as a coach. Now it's my turn to be able to make the decisions and not just have the opinions per se, but I've seen what it takes to be successful, what it looks like. And so that's what I'll always be forever grateful for my time at Maryland.
Was there one big thing or takeaway that you learned from her that you kind of keep with you every day?
Yeah, it's always about the connection and the relationships. As any coach will tell you, you want to be able to coach your players hard and get the best out of them. I think that's how we all judge ourselves, is do they reach their potential? And I think she does a great job of, from the recruiting process to the second they step on campus, getting to know her players. And that's something that I've, even coming in now with 10 new players, and it's hard, but it's still having those one-on-one meetings, small group meetings, and really them getting to know me and me getting to know them. So that in those moments that I can coach them hard and they know that I'm, what my intentions are and that it's coming from a good place.
You're in Atlanta now. I used to live there for about 2 years, several years ago. Do you have a favorite Atlanta restaurant?
So far, it's been Suprika.
Okay,
I'm going with the
Suprika's great.
Tex-Mex. I mean, it's what everybody's asking. I'm like, if you're asking one place, I mean, I've been to a couple of the food halls, but if it's a go-to, I know I want a good meal, Suprika is it.
Yeah, the food halls are good too. They got some spots in there, but yeah, Suprika.
Did you have a favorite spot?
Suprika's up there. I'm trying to think of the different spots in the food halls now. There was a fried chicken place in one of those food halls that was really good. There used to be, I don't know if it still exists, but there was this barbecue place called Fat Matt's that was just kind of this little hole in the wall place. Yeah. But, if you like barbecues,
those are usually the best places.
Yeah. But, you can go up to Beaufort Highway and, get some Asian food and stuff. There's a lot of options.
Right. So, I have a lot of places left to explore. I think I have about 30 restaurants saved in my Atlanta food guide that I haven't made it to yet.
There you go. You just hit those on, visits with recruits and stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Karen Blair, head coach of Georgia Tech. Best of luck this season, and we'll see you around. Thanks
Appreciate
for
your
joining
time.
the podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.